Greetings, my name is Dennis Daniels, and I want to talk to you about Moodle 1.53 code. This is October 05 code. So we're going to create some workshops. Workshops are probably one of the most important features of Moodle because it has the potential to provide the maximum amount of feedback to students and relieve teachers of a great deal of management problems in terms of evaluation, of turning the workshops into peer evaluation, peer editing. It's quite useful. Let's take a look at it here in a second. If you have any trouble at all while viewing this video, namely because the interface is going to be using a smaller font, I'd recommend that you download it, steal it, it's yours, take it, and get more out of it. Why am I doing this? This is the magical question, and the answer is easy. Schools should be publishing houses, and given the advent of desktop publishing tools, the internet, screencasting, videos, podcasts, etc., it saddens me to know that the United States and the world in fact spends billions of dollars on books that are basically reproductions of everything that is found for free on the web. Schools should be publishing houses, and students should be treated like researchers and developers publishing. Teachers themselves should be managers and coordinators of those knowledge centers rather than secretaries, which is what often happens in my experience. Moodle enables teachers and students to behave more like modern thinkers as opposed to pre-civilization secretaries. First stop should be Moodle. Check it out. If you're looking for after watching this you need a host, I would check out thinkingdistance.org. I've been using them for well over a year now. Quite happy with our service. Screencasts, well, we'll get into that in a moment. Right now what we need to do is create what we'll do now is go create a workshop. So I have logged in. You can see that here. I'm going to turn the editing on. This is a travesty. Frankly, I'm sorry to digress already, but this should be a setting that always is turned on. If I want it to be on all the time, don't ask me every single time you turn it on. It's just, that's basic. It's a basic piece of code. I don't know why it's still not enabled. Because I always turn the editing on. I never turn it off. So, editing is now on. I go to my first week. I'm going to add an activity. And the activity is workshop. You can see there's lots of other activities, and they look like they are all sorted in alphabetical order, which they are. I use a lot. I use the assignment a lot, and I use quizzes a lot, and I use forums. Forums I'm using less and less because of the management problems of grading. Workshops solve combine many of the great features of an assignment and a forum. Submission title, let's scroll down a little bit. Okay, submission title. This will be, we're going to call this Word Problems Week 1. Alright, so I'll give some blah 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 here. Please post your PowerPoint presentation on solving word problems here. Okay, that's all I'm going to give for instructions right now. Grades for assessment, grades for submission. Now, grades for assessment. Now I'm going to drop this down. I'm going to say this is a 30. And as soon as they have submitted, if they submit anything, I'm going to give them 10 points. Right there, that is gold. Because students want to know that they have done the work. And the easiest way for them to know that is they see their scores go up. So grading for submission is extremely important, and I wish that that feature, that piece of code, was all throughout the Moodle interface for forms, for assignments, for journals, for what have you. This is great. Students want that feedback, and it's nice if, especially here, on submission, this should have an area here. It should say, on submission, thank you very much for submitting. I will be getting to your document as soon as I can. Something like that, so they can get that message. Cumulative, I'm not quite sure what that means. Number of comments, assessment grades, criterion. I'm going to set it to 5 criteria. Number of attachments expected on submission. Look at that. Lots of submission documents possible. I'm going to go with 1 right now. Allow resubmissions, yes, because I want students to repair their work if it's a problem. Number of assessments of examples from teachers, 0. Comparison of assessments, fair, I'm not quite sure what that means either. Number of students of submissions, 0. Wait for teacher assessments, I'm not quite sure what that means. If I give it a bigger weight, this right here, this should also include wait for students who have an A in the course. That's a nice little SQL search to identify which student actually has a good grade. And if they have a good grade, their evaluations of other students' work should be reflected. Over-allocation, don't know what that is. Self-assessment, yeah, I want students to know what they're talking about. High grades before agreement, no. Assessments will be agreed, no. League table of submitted work, yes. Okay, that would be the top 3. Hide names from students, yes. Use password, no. Maximum size, let's bump that up to 5 meg. Start of submissions, end of submissions. Look at all of these fields. This should be a calendar. It should be one of those calendar features where you just click on it and the time. This is, well, primitive. Start of submissions will start. Start of assessments will start. End of submissions, we'll bump that to the end of the week. And end of assessments, we'll bump that to the end of the following week. Release teacher grades on the 24th. Okay, so start, if anybody submits, they can begin assessing immediately. End of submissions on the 17th. Once it reaches the end of the submission time, it all stops. End of assessments on the 24th. Separate groups. I'm going to say no groups. Visible students, yes. The reason I would go with no groups is because I want students of various levels to be looking at each other's work. Visible students, save changes. So, what that means, I've just created a new workshop, and now I'm going to be faced with the task of creating a scale. Now, or rather, an assessment, editing assessment elements. Now,